Ladies and gentlemen, today we will embark on a journey together to explore a chapter of history that, for some, remains sensitive, but for all of us, it must be seen as decisive. A chapter that shaped not only the character, but also the spiritual identity of the Greek world. We will speak about the rupture between ancient Greek tradition and Christian dominion. A conflict of ideas, ethics, and authority which left an indelible mark on the history of Greek thought. It was not merely a religious transition, it was a transformation of an entire way of thinking, of the human being and of society. A clash between two worlds. In ancient Greek civilization, the individual was called to think, to question, to engage in dialogue, to examine everything. From Homer's divided in heart, the hesitation before action, to Socratic irony and Plato's dialogues, truth emerged through reason and inner searching. Cornelius Castoriadis spoke of Christianity as introducing a sickness of the will, a passivity that waits for divine commands instead of acting freely. Mary's words at the Annunciation, "Let it be unto me according to your word," symbolize not free choice, but submission to a higher, predetermined will. Greek ethics praised deliberation. Christian morality praised obedience. Greek friendship was mutual and equal, rooted in virtue between free individuals. Christian love, agape, became hierarchical, ordained by divine command. Love was reordered, measured, distributed, and charity risked becoming condescension. Let us now take a closer look at what all this truly means. What does a hierarchy of love actually imply? In Christian theology, there exists the idea that our loves follow a specific order. This is known as the Ordo Amoris. First comes God, then whatever relates to Him, church, faith, and only afterward people and worldly attachments. This creates a scale of obligations. The higher defines the lower, and thus equality transforms into subordination. Christian teaching speaks of all humans having equal worth before God, but when the right kind of love is defined and interpreted by hierarchical institutions, clergy, religious rules, spiritual authority, equality is translated in practice into an obligation to obey. To love correctly means to act in accordance with the commands of the higher order of love, and therefore I must obey whoever interprets it. The believer, although equal in dignity, is placed in roles of submission to God, to the church, to the family, according to a divinely sanctioned hierarchy. What is hypocritical morality? It is the emphasis on outward displays of virtue, adherence to rules, forms of piety, and signs of correctness in language and behavior, without inner understanding or cultivation. The focus becomes appearing virtuous rather than truly being virtuous. Morality becomes a performance, not the result of free moral judgment, but a tool for social approval. When virtue is defined from above and validated by external judges, people obey out of fear, of punishment, of guilt, of spiritual rejection. Actions are no longer authentic. They become pressured responses, motivated by shame or fear, rather than conscious understanding and inner will. In contrast, in classical Greek ethics, virtue was cultivated through habit and reason. The virtuous person acts with understanding, guided by logos and phronesis. The emphasis was on self-governance, temperance, balance, and the individual's responsibility as citizen. Social honor, mutual friendship, and recognition functioned as horizontal relationships, not vertical chains of obedience to interpreters of the divine. Of course, ancient Greece had hierarchies and injustices too, but its moral ideal rested more on reason and moderation less on institutionalized spiritual coercion. When love becomes institutionalized, interpreted by authorities as a ranked system, then the proclaimed equality of people risks becoming practical submission. Virtue is then measured by visible conformity, by obedience, signs of piety, not by reasoned, free, and authentic moral choice. This stands in stark contrast to the Greek ideal of virtue as ethos, a state of character born from prudence and self-mastery. The historical imposition of Christianity did not come through dialogue, it came through violence. By the end of the 4th century AD, Emperor Theodosius I issued imperial decrees banning all pagan rituals. Temples were closed, sanctuaries fell silent. In 391 AD, Patriarch Theophilus of Alexandria ordered the violent destruction of the Serapeum, a vast center of Hellenistic culture and philosophy, home to thousands of scrolls of Greek knowledge. It was not just a building, it was a bastion of thought, erased by decree in the name of the Church. In 415 AD, the philosopher Hypatia, a symbol of Greek rationalism and scientific thought, was seized by a mob of Christian fanatics. Her body was torn apart, burnt in the streets, and with her perished one of the last great lights of free inquiry in the ancient world. In 529 AD, Emperor Justinian shut down the Neoplatonic Academy in Athens, the final stronghold of ancient Greek philosophy. Its teachers were exiled. Some, like Damascius, found refuge in Persia, others fell into silence. In Greece, thought itself was buried beneath the ashes of ruined temples and burnt manuscripts. Christianity became more than a faith. It became a system of control, of governance, of moral discipline. Obedience was sanctified. Love became command. Salvation a reward for loyalty. Greek thought asked questions. Christian power demanded answers. This is not about condemnation, but recognition. Two worlds collided. One prevailed, but the other still speaks. And the question remains, do we obey or do we seek?